Hey guys, it's Sarah, and today I'm going to be doing a super fun video. I'm going to be reviewing Daughter of the Forest by Juliette Marillier, and this book was so good, guys. Right off the bat, it's one of my favorites of 2014. I added it to my favorites list. It was amazing, and I was blown away by how just phenomenal this book was. So just right off the bat, I have another review of a book that I loved, so yay! So let's get into my thoughts about this story. First I gotta figure out where I'm gonna put this story. Thanks, Santa. You think you can hang out with Santa for a little bit? This book is about... Alright, let me just be completely honest. I read this as an audiobook, and I read like the last 150 pages as the physical book. So that means that the names that I have don't really match the spellings that are in the fantasy novel, which often happens for me. So I call her Sarah, and they call her in the audiobook Sarah, but I can't do that. So Sarah. I can't do that. So I call her Sarah, but it's spelled Sorcha. So if I sometimes switch back and forth, Sarah and Sorcha are the same exact person. So yeah, that's just right off the bat, I wanted to say that. So basically, Daughter of the Forest is a historical fantasy novel, and it has some romance in it, has some heartbreak in it, has some fairy tale retellings in it, and I know it's loosely based on an Ireland folktale, but I don't know what it is, so I don't have that information for you guys, but it is a retelling of a fairy tale, and it's totally prominent in this novel. It feels like it is, and fairy tales play a very large part in the storyline, so I thought I would mention that. Also, it is an adult novel, so keep that in mind. There are some sexual content in there, some sexual abuse, things like that, so I definitely keep that in mind while you're reading, but yeah. And let's get into what the book is about. It is about Sarah, and Sarah is the youngest of seven. She has 6 older brothers, and she lives in this town or place called Seven Waters, and Seven Waters is this beautiful Ireland forest, and it has, you know, a river going through it, and her dad is a chieftain of a clan and all of these things, and her brothers are in line to take that clan, and basically she's just having fun. She's just running amok when we meet her. She's like 13 or 14, and she's just kind of being a tomboy and doing the things that she likes. Then one day her dad comes home from a war type thing, and not really a war, but there's a war going on, so it kind of is a war. He comes home with this woman, Lady Una, and Lady Una is very bad, and she rips Seven Waters apart, and basically she puts a spell on Sarah's brothers, and they get turned into swans, and she has to break the curse by creating these really harsh sweaters for the boys, and it's very hard to explain, but basically the curse is that she spindles these sweaters out of this really rough material, and it cuts up her hands and stuff like that. That's how she breaks the curse of her brothers being turned into swans. So basically this whole story follows Sarah and how her life was before the curse, and then how she does whatever she can to break the curse for her brothers, and it's amazing. I loved it to death. So let's quickly talk about the characters in this story. Like I said, we have Sarah, and she is a very strong character, so strong that it sometimes hurts her. She goes through so much, and it is so heartbreaking what she has to go through and what she does, and things like the trials that she has to do is just crazy insane and very tough to read, but also very just like captivating. And yeah, I love Sarah, one of my all-time favorite characters ever. She's awesome. Then we have some other secondary characters like her brothers, and when you have 6 characters in a story all revolving around one character, it's hard to separate their personalities, but I think it's awesome. But I think Juliette Marillier did an awesome job at separating each character, and so every character has their own voice, and sometimes, yeah, they blur together, but that's just how it goes when it comes to having 6 older boys in the story. Sometimes they blur, but all of the characters have their own specific storylines, and I feel like they're going to be very important later on in the series and have their own very important missions that they have to go on, and so I'm very excited to see that. And I loved all of the boy characters. They're very overprotective of Sarah and very guilty for what she has to go through for them, and just a lot of things, a lot of feelings go on between the family, and it's things that I love. I can connect very much with loving my family a lot, and it was a very prominent theme in this story, and I just really liked that. And then we have the love interest, and he's awesome. I love the love interest. He's one of my new favorites. I always say that for every love interest, but he's really awesome, very strong, very protective, but lets Sarah do what she needs to do, and I just really like him a lot. And then we have a whole nother cast of characters from a different part of the story that I'm not really going to get into because I don't want to spoil anything, but a lot of these characters I really loved. A lot of them I just fell in love with in general. A lot of them I want to see again, and just in all, I loved the characters of the story. They had amazing growth and development, especially Sarah, and I think that's very important for a main character to develop and grow in general, and I just really liked what Juliette Marillier did with her characters. Let's talk about the setting or world for a little bit, and I listened to this in audiobook, and I will say that this story can get a little bit dense at times because of the way that Juliette Marillier writes, and I'll talk about that in a minute, but I really did love the setting of the story. It takes place in Ireland, and you get all this lush Ireland feels from it, and the forest is really awesome. It's very earthy, and there's rivers involved, and it's all just very beautiful, and the way Juliette Marillier writes it, I can see it vividly, and it's no doubt about how it looks, and I just really enjoy that aspect of the story. Also, the atmosphere of the story was amazing, very fairy tale-like, very just tangible. I feel like that's really hard to do in stories. It's very common in a fantasy, but in this one it was so unique that I just loved it to death, and very, very good. And yeah, I think I will say, like I said, that it's pretty dense, so if you're not used to that, I would, you know, recommend the audiobook or, you know, pushing through it, because it really is a great story. I also really love the historical feel to it. It is about Ireland and Britain in the, you know, war that took place in the 18th century, 17th century, that, you know, still kind of going on a little bit, and how, like, it's hard to separate the two countries, and how bad the people from those homelands want them to be, well, one of them wants to be together, one of them wants to be separated, and like the whole concept of that is very interesting to read from. Very reminiscent of Outlander as well, but yeah, I just really, really loved it, and I really like history. Huge history buff over here. I'm just saying, like, raise the roof for history, so yeah, I really enjoyed that aspect to it. Let's talk a little bit more about the writing style that Juliette Marillier has. I personally think that she has a very classic way of writing. Like, to me, I had the same feelings for this story that I did reading Great Gatsby. Great Gatsby is one of my all-time favorite classics, and to me it's just so vivid. All of the colors are so vibrant, everything, I can see it all in a picture above me, and it's just so amazing. And I don't know, to me it's a very classic way of writing, the way she can write and how it flows and how beautiful and flowery it is. I just really liked that and appreciated it in the story. Yeah, if you like classics, I would definitely maybe give this a shot, even if you're not sure about fantasy, because it is very dense and very just beautiful, and I think that is very reminiscent of classics, and in general I just really liked that aspect. And then again, it is slow moving, so just keep that in mind. The plot is very simple as well. There's not a lot to it. Sarah has to do these tasks, and she has to do what's set before her, and it's kind of her journey in doing that, but I think that the writing style made up for it and made it so much more because of how simple the plot is. I mean, it is a fairy tale retelling, so you have a lot of very similar themes to this story as others, but this one was just such a very, just, I don't know, it was just so flowery. That's the best way I can describe it, as flowery. So yeah, that's pretty much a lot of my feelings towards the story. A few things that I will say one thing that I didn't like, and it was probably the only thing that I can pick out and say, you know what, that is something that I just didn't like. It didn't take away any stars for me, but it was something that I was like, man, I wish something, this is what it was right here, I wish something good would have happened. And everything that happened in the story was just so awful towards the main character, and it was like one after another after another after another of just these heart-wrenching like things that go on, and it was just like, come on, can't I just have one good day and then something good would happen and it would make it so much more special? Like, if I would have read a story, right, a romance story about this girl who had, you know, to help her brothers, and she had, you know, these moments of really heart-wrenching, had these moments of really bad times, but then all of a sudden, you know, she had these long stretches of good times, I don't think it would have made the story as impacting as it did. Like, having these bad things one after another, and then having these very sliver moments of very good things, or just a very, you know, moment that maybe wouldn't have been good, but for her it was good. it just made it that much more special. So I don't know, in the end I did get a little bit frustrated with the pacing of it and how it was just kind of like, oh my god, when is something good gonna happen? But in general, to look back on it, I think it was just, it made the story flow so much better, and it made it in my mind just really impactful. So yeah. You guys, I think in general that's my thoughts on this story. Really enjoyed it. Like I said, gave it 5 out of 5 stars, and I'd recommend you pick it up, especially if you like Outlander. Very reminiscent of Outlander. It was a great middle book for me to like take a break from the Outlander series and read something that was similar and just as good. And so if you really do like Outlander, I'd recommend you pick this up. Also, if you like books, like I said, like classics, or even The Winter's Curse by Marie Rotowski. If you liked that book, Winter's Curse, and you wanted something a little bit with more depth and a little bit more adult themes, highly recommend Daughter of the Forest. I think that they're very similar in certain ways, and maybe not in the writing style, but just in the atmosphere and the themes of the story. I don't know, I just felt like in my head it made a connection, so I would recommend you check this out if you are looking for something along the lines of, you know, that Winter's Curse feel, where it's kind of heartbreaking and just good. But yeah, that is that for this review, guys. Thanks so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. I hope you have a great day. Let me know down below if you plan on picking up this book, what your thoughts are on the book, and I am super excited to hear your thoughts on it. And yeah, I'm really excited if you guys pick it up. Please let me know down below. And yeah, that's pretty much all I have to say for this video. Thanks so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. Have a great day, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!